All right.
Hey everyone, it's Lawrence Mack here, real estate broker out of Mississauga and Toronto, and founder of Real Estate Rookies. And I'm here to talk about geographic farming with Ryan Smith from Launch Your Farm. How you doing, Ryan?
I can't complain. I'm happy to be here.
That's awesome. So I'm just gonna let Ryan take it away at this point. I did have started my farm, and I've been part of his boot camp. It's been amazing. So if you guys stay tuned at the end, there will be a discount code, and Ryan is a co-host. So take it away, Ryan.
Awesome. Give me 1 sec. I'll share my screen and then we'll get started. Just let me know when you guys can see that.
No problem. So the rough plan today is he's going to give a quick presentation, 20-30 minutes. Typically his presentation is a lot longer, but today is just going to be about 20-30 minute quick overview about what Launch Your Farm does. And then afterwards, any type of questions you have about farming or door knocking or cold calling, anything like that, just bring it in, and I'm sure he's happy to answer, and so am I.
Awesome.
All right, Ryan, take it away.
So yeah, I took a 1 hour course, crammed it down to a small amount. So I've chopped out a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to be sharing how to love your community and how you can be using your community in your farm and how to really give back to the community to really change how you are seen in the community and to add value to the community that you are serving. So whether you have a tiny farm, whether you have a large farm, or even if you're just not farming at all and you just want to make an impact in the community, we're going to talk about how you can do that in your farm. So as just always have my ground rules, just please turn off your phones, mute yourself, get rid of any distractions. Feel free to ask questions, but I may ask them till the end. I don't check the chat during the presentation. So if you have a question, put it in there, but I won't answer till the end just because it does kind of get hard to go back and forth. So today we're going to talk about farming fundamentals, how you can love your community, and then we're going to give away some bonuses at the end. And then, like Lawrence said, we're going to have a Q&A at the end. So first, I'm going to do just a real quick overview of what farming is. If you've never done geographic farming, I'll always start with farming is not postcards and door knocking. And we hear that all the time from so many agents. They think that farming is postcards and door knocking. And the reality is that is a strategy you can use in geographic farming, but it really isn't what farming is about as a whole. So my definition, I focus on geographic farming, and that's strategically focusing your expertise, marketing, and prospecting efforts in one specific geographic area to build a sustainable business and long-term relationships. So it's a long-winded answer to say you become a go-to agent in a specific area. It could be 200 homes, it could be 2,000 homes, it could be 20,000 homes, but it's putting your time and attention and energy into an area and becoming that go-to agent. And there are all different strategies on how we can do that. Like I said, it's not just postcards and door knocking. You have to figure out what's going to work for you, what's going to work for the community you're serving, and how you're going to do that. But at the core of any farming and really any real estate business is what I call the CPR, and it's the foundation of farming. And it starts with community. And today we're going to be diving into the community aspect of it because it's important to have that community first and really to give back to the community, because the community is what drives your farm. The community is something you should be putting first. You should be putting it over the transaction. And again, good agents who are succeeding at high levels of farming realize that the community is the people who support them. The community is where you're getting the lifeblood of your business from. So you have to put that community first. Then we learn to position ourselves as experts and ambassadors. And again, I could get into a whole topic about how we do that. And then lastly, we build relationships. And that's the long-term goal with any farming or really any real estate business, is you have to set yourself up with a community, position yourself, and then you build those relationships. You either strengthen the relationships you have or you build new relationships. And that's really the key fundamentals. And when you learn to look at your farm through this lens, you'll be able to see more opportunities and you'll be able to position yourself differently and create more value. So today we're going to dive into the community part of it and how we love our community. And when we love the community and we put that community first, we're going to see results that most agents will never see because they are so focused on the transaction, or they're so focused on talking about themselves or how great they are or self-promoting themselves. And when we do this, it shifts how the public sees us and how we see our farm. So I want you to think about how you love your community. Now, some people may have a great focus in the area they're serving. Some people may take it from a transactional level, but I want you to think about what you do to show your love to the community that you serve. Again, ultimately, these people are hopefully paying your bills. They're helping you continually grow. But if you don't have that love for your community, it's not going to be as authentic and you're not going to have the same response as you do if you do focus on it. So as we go through this presentation, think about how you love your community and then think about how you can shift that and put more love into your community and really grow what you're doing. It all starts though with a community mindset. And this is the section I'm narrowing down today, is really shifting your view on how you see that farm. And we have to start with a shift in a community mindset. Again, when we're focused on transactions, we're focused on self-promotion, we're focused on just talking about how great we are, just the real estate itself, we lose the community's interest, we lose trust a lot of times, and we need to shift how we're seen and how we see that. And it starts with shifting your community mindset. So we're going to go through 6 different ways you can change your mindset, and then I'm going to show a strategy that you can use for each one of these to really make an impact in your farm and help you with each one of these mindset changes. So we're going to talk about how to become the ambassador. We're going to talk about businesses. So focusing on the businesses in the community, how to come from contribution, how to be the expert, how to think outside the box, and how to build your database. And when we change these strategies and we change our mindset, we're able to, again, create more opportunities for us. So the first one is to become the ambassador. And this is where we really start to show our love for that community. This is where it starts to show up in what we do. And this is where we start to build trust long-term. And by becoming the ambassador for that community and really sticking up for the little guy, creating relationships with people in the community, creating value that people know that you care about their best interests and are not just there for a commission check, it helps you be seen as that go-to person, and it helps you create value. And we do that in a number of ways. But one of the ways we can do that is becoming the social ambassador. And a lot of times old school farming is traditionally done offline. So they're sending mailers and postcards and door knocking. But we have an opportunity to pull the social aspect of it, so social media, to become the community ambassador and add value to the community. So it's not just about using social media to promote yourself. So a lot of agents use social media as a marketing tool, as a way to promote themselves, but we can shift how we put our attention and time into the community by becoming that ambassador. So you could create a neighborhood Facebook group for the area. That's an amazing way. And a lot of agents have done incredibly well with creating a community group for the area they're serving and helping create value for the community that way. You could highlight local businesses or events and let people know what's going on in the community using online social media to help highlight those and become that ambassador. We can promote local causes and charities. That's a big one. If you have a charity or a cause that's in the community that you love and the community really respects and you can add value to, that's a great way to use social media to promote them. And in return, you're going to promote yourself. Depending on where you live, you may live in a historical area that's got lots of history, maybe got really old homes, and there's all different historical aspects to the community. So sharing that historical information, it can be a great way to be that ambassador to keep the history alive. I have a friend of mine who works on the board for the historical society in her town, and she's passionate about that and loves to share that. If you were to work with a local historical society and share all the information and the history of the area that you are in, it's a great way to, again, be that ambassador for the community. You could also highlight local influencers, so people that are doing things in the community, those movers and shakers, the people who are really having an impact as well in the community. That's an awesome way to, again, highlight what's going on, borrow some of that influence, and use that to help you become the ambassador as well. You could do neighborhood awards. I've seen agents do it where they do the best lawns or the best landscaping or the best Christmas display or the best Halloween display and create some fun things going on in the community. And that, again, helps you be seen as that ambassador and the champion for the community. Or you could host games or contests in the community and get people involved and really help bring some life to the community. Now, I've seen a lot of agents say, well, that wouldn't work in my area. We don't have things like that. People don't like to do those things. And the truth is, maybe people aren't doing that because no one's started it. No one's stepped up to the plate and done these things. So if there isn't anyone doing anything like this in your area, you have an absolute opportunity to help become that social ambassador. But you have to think differently and you have to think outside of the real estate box to think how I can become the ambassador for the community and really give back. Again, there's 1,000 different ways you can do that. So you're going to have to think what works for me, what works for the community that I'm serving, and how do I create value to them and step up and be that ambassador. The next one is to focus on businesses. And I truly believe that businesses are the backbone of any community and really any economy as well. And I always say that now more than ever, businesses need our support. Over the last 2 years, we've been hit hard with COVID. Small businesses have been hit the hardest. And we have an opportunity to help give back and create opportunities to give back to those support those local businesses and create value for the community itself. But we have to be willing to step up and help do that. And that's part of being the ambassador for that community is giving back and supporting those local businesses. And one of the ways I tell agents all the time, and one of the easiest and quickest ways is to do business interviews. And I say this over and over and over and over again. And so many agents are terrified to do this because they're afraid of stepping in front of a camera. They're afraid of getting out there and putting themselves out there and being uncomfortable. But the reality is we have an opportunity to go out there and highlight these local businesses. There could be new businesses that are opening up. There could be small businesses that people don't know about. There's businesses that have an awesome story or have an awesome product or a service. And we have an opportunity to share that with the world. And when we do this correctly, it does a number of things. First is it helps that local business get publicity. It helps them get their name out there and it helps them grow their business. And that's one of the biggest reasons why we should do this. But it also is, I would say, selflessly selfish in that we are now getting in front of their audience. We are getting a farther reach than we would have gotten before because they have followers, they have clients, they have business people that support their business. And when we interview them, they're more likely to go out and share it with their audience. They're more likely to talk about how great we are and how we've helped them and how we've added value to their business. So we are now getting in front of their audience. And it also gets them in front of our audience. And then it also creates content for the people that we are serving. So if we've got great content that's hyper local, that's business, that's community focused, we are able to make a win for everybody. But again, it takes some time and it takes some perseverance to do that. And it takes getting uncomfortable. A lot of agents are terrified to do that. And that's great because it creates an opportunity for us all to go out there and create value when most people aren't willing to do that. And the great thing is it doesn't have to take much money or time if you do it. You can do a couple minute videos. You could literally use your cell phone. You could use Zoom like you're on now and just do a quick interview and let people know about what's going on in the community. And again, the agents who have done this and done this well have reaped the rewards so well and have gotten so much out of it. But again, it takes that initial start and it takes that consistency to get it done. And when you do this correctly, you can really become the ambassador and really help position yourself as that person who cares about the community and the local businesses. The next one is to come from contribution. And again, I don't like trash talking our industry. However, most real estate agents in the past have really focused on themselves. A lot of the marketing is based around how great they are, how many homes they've sold, the awards they've gotten. And the reality is that when it comes to farming, especially with a small geographic area, people need to know that you care and need to know that you care about them. This comes back to that ambassador, being that ambassador for the community. When you come from contribution first, you are able to connect with people in a whole different way. Unfortunately, our industry has a bad name. People think that we are greedy. They put us right up there with lawyers and used car salesmen. And the truth is, if you aren't coming from contribution, you may well deserve to be in that category, because if you're only focused on the transaction, if you're only focused on just making money, you're missing out a ton of opportunity and a ton of value that you could be giving back to the community. The other reason why it's so important to come from contribution is that selflessly selfish acts is that when we help the community, they in return will want to help us, but we have to be willing to do that first. We can't wait to say, well, once I get some sales under my belt, then I'm going to go do that. And then I'm going to give back to the community. We have to start by coming from contribution first. We have to add value right up front from the beginning and continually add value throughout our whole career. And the more we do that, the more business we're going to get, the more impact we're going to be able to have, and the more we're going to be able to grow our business as well. So if you want to start and you want to grow your business, come from contribution. And one of the ways we can do that, well, there's a number of ways you can do that, is to get involved in the community and give back and basically come from contribution by giving back. So you could do a clothing drive. That's one of the easiest ways, a clothing drive or a food drive. You can get out there. And the great thing with that is you're having the community give, so they feel good because they're helping. You're being able to champion that. You're being able to add value to the community. You're being able to be seen in front of the people in the community. You're able to create an environment that people are feeling comfortable with, that they are also making an impact as well. And you're creating those good feelings for everybody. You could do something like a spring cleanup. That's an awesome way to get involved. You can do that once or twice a year, get the community involved, or just you do it yourself and just get people to your friends, your family, your neighbors, and get people to start helping and make an impact. The green movement is huge in right now, and creating a spring cleanup would be a great way to help give back and show that you care about the environment and care what's happening in the community. You can also donate, make donations in your community's name, in organizations that are part of the community that serve your community, and make some donations. Maybe you take a certain percentage off of each deal that you do. Maybe you do fundraisers through that and help make donations that way. Another thing is to support local. And this is something I'm very passionate about and I think is very critical to really having success in this business, is to ensure that you are supporting local businesses, whether that's doing the videos we just talked about, whether that's shopping at the local businesses, whether that's giving shout outs online and letting people know about them, whether it's referring local businesses, creating shop local campaigns. by focusing on supporting those local businesses and supporting them, actually supporting them, not just telling people about them or just saying you like to support local, you can make an impact and create a lot more value. Another thing is to volunteer in the community. And again, a lot of people do volunteer, but sometimes they volunteer with organizations that don't have as much of an impact directly in the community they're serving. They may have something that's awesome, like the Cancer Society or Alzheimer's, but we may not feel that as directly as something hyper local in your community. So if you are going to get involved, I always suggest getting involved with something that you can directly see the results and have an impact in your backyard, in the area that you serve, because you're going to be able to feel the results of that. You're gonna be able to see that more, and you're gonna have a much more hyper local effect in your community as well. And then lastly, sports teams is one thing that people have been doing a lot, is where they'll sponsor sports teams. They'll put their names on things. And it's great. However, I always say, if you don't really have kids in that sports, if you're not directly involved on a day-to-day business basis, sponsoring a sports team doesn't have the same effect. So if you're going to be involved, make sure you are directly involved, where it's not just paying to have your name on something or on a t-shirt or on a sign. I really suggest being involved directly. So whether that's showing up at games, whether you're donating things to the sports team, whether you're setting up a table or something at the games, but it can definitely work, but you have to make sure you're doing more than just paying money to be a sponsor. So again, coming from contribution and giving back can be huge. Again, a lot of agents are afraid to do this. They're afraid of spending the money or the time, and they think, I'm not going to get the results that I want, or I'm not going to get the return right away. The truth is, if you create an environment in your farm that this is what you do, and you do this consistently, it will pay off over and over and over and over again. But you have to be willing to put the time in and commit. The other nice thing is, when you're coming from contribution, you can get involved in things that are important to you and that have a real impact in your own life, or things that you really care about. And it allows you to step outside of the transaction and focus on things that you care about. There's the causes that you think are important in the community, so you can enjoy that side of things a lot more than just focusing on the day-to-day transaction. So think about how you can come from contribution in your farm and how you can add value going forward if you haven't done so already. Oops. Next one is to become the expert. So we talked about the positioning, but in the CPR is you position yourself as the expert and the ambassador. And we have to learn to position ourselves as the expert very quickly. And the quicker we can do that, the quicker we're going to build trust, the quicker we're going to get the results, and quicker we're going to be able to create value that people will want to work with us. And we can do that in a number of different ways. It doesn't mean that you have to have sold the most amount of homes. Doesn't mean you have to know everything that's going on, but we want to be able to focus on something to say, hey, we are an expert. We are good at this, or we know this. And it doesn't have to be, like I said, real estate specific, but it should be around the community. One of the things that you can do is to leverage other people's expertise to help establish your own. So by doing an educational series, building relationships with your preferred partners. So if you've got home inspectors, stagers, lawyers, moving companies, whatever you've got, use their trust, use their expertise to help build your expertise. And if you look at Oprah as an amazing example, that Oprah really isn't a master at anything. She is incredible at bringing on experts, and that increases her expertise level because people trust that she knows what she's talking about, because she brings on people who she knows she can trust. So when you bring on experts and you have their status being passed on to you, you can increase your chances of people seeing you as an expert. This is a very easy way to help do that very quickly and efficiently. It's also a great way to support local businesses. It's also a great way to show that you care about the community. But if you're going to do this, I would make sure you're not just saying, hey, we're supporting this local business. Take it to a next step. So share their services. What are they doing? So we can share that, but maybe there's services that people don't know about that they do. Share their processes of things that they go out and do, of how their process actually works. Share their story. How did they get into the business? What did they do? How are they doing it? Why are they doing it? What's driving them to do that? Share any value adds that they have, or any highlights. Maybe they're involved in the community. Maybe they're giving back, and maybe they're creating value that we don't know about. And when we do this, we can, again, add value to the community, add value to those small businesses or those preferred partners that we're working with, and create an expert, establish ourselves as that expert by using their own expertise. But again, it takes some time. It may be a video that you're doing. It may be it's an interview series. Maybe you're doing a blog. Maybe you're using some marketing resources that they're using, and you can share that with your audience. But that's a very quick way to establish yourself as the expert when you have trusted advisors and people you can work with. And when people are asking for specific people, you can say, here's the people I trust. Here's why. Here's a video we've done with them. And it helps create a higher level of expertise in your own business without even having even sold a home before. The other thing is we have to think outside the box. And again, a lot of agents get into this business and they do what everyone else has done. They get into the business, they got a broker who trains them and they say, okay, this is what I did, here's how you should do it. Or we look around and we think we know how the industry works and we follow how the industry has been done for years. And we don't think outside the box and we don't really come up with new ideas or new strategies because we just kind of do what everyone else has done. And the truth is, when it comes to real estate, we have to think outside the box of the real estate world as well. And you also have to think about your community in a different way. Don't think about your community as an agent. Think about your community as if you were an ambassador, as if you were an expert, as if you were someone who wanted to see your community thrive. So when you think outside the box and do things differently, you're going to be able to see more opportunities. You're going to be able to create more value. You're going to be able to create more relationships because you're not thinking like an agent. And when most people think about an agent, they go into the same things. They go into neighborhood home price report, or they do into flyers or postcards or open houses, and they just dump on real estate stuff and don't see the community in a different way. So we want to change how we see that. And one of the ways you can do that is creating a community guide. And again, this is a different approach because most agents think about real estate from the transaction. But the reality is people buy into a neighborhood not just for the house. They buy into the neighborhood because of the community. They buy into the neighborhood because of the things that are going on in the community. So we have an opportunity to highlight those things and create value for people to showcase what this community that we're serving has to offer. Creating a resource guide, whether that's a hard copy, whether it's a digital copy, whether it's a video copy, we can do it in different ways, but we have to think about some of the things that would attract people to the community and that there are to showcase. So you could do things to do in the area. Maybe there's events, maybe there's things going on, maybe there's businesses that you can be supporting. What are the utility companies that are in the area? What are the schools, the parks? What's happening in the community as far as events that's going on? Is there any important contacts that they should know about, like the town council, the utility companies and things like that? What's the garbage pickup schedule in the area, or any unique aspects of the area? If you take some time to create a community guide, again, it's going to help establish you as an expert. It's going to help establish you as that ambassador, like we talked about. And it's going to show that you care more than just a transaction, and that you're here to help and create value. And when we do this correctly, we can set it up. It doesn't have to take a whole lot of time up front. Once it's done, you can just make some tweaks every 6 months or a year and make some changes to it. But this can be super invaluable to offer as a lead generation tool. We can use this to add value to existing clients that we've got. It's a great opportunity to reach out to your database in the farm that you're going after, to say, I put this together. It's also a great reason to reach out and ask questions. Say, what do you like about the community? What should we know? I'm creating a community guide. What do you think should be in there? So it's a great opportunity to create conversation around it and, again, help establish you as that ambassador and expert. So think outside the box when you're going forward, and don't just think about real estate as a one size fits all, one linear thing of being real estate specific. You have to think from a community aspect. Lastly, you have to be focusing on building your database. And I've always said your farm really isn't your farm. Your farm is the funnel that fills your farm, which is your database. The people in your farm is your database. The relationships you have is your farm. Those are what we're trying to get to. Those relationships that we are building is what we're trying to get to. That's why I talk about the CPR, and the relationships is the last part, because we have to focus on those relationships in the short term and the long term. We have to think how we can grow that and create value. Sending out a postcard to a stranger over and over and over again doesn't really build a relationship. It creates top of mind ideas so people know who you are, but it doesn't create relationships. So we have to build a database that builds relationships. And one of the ways we can do that is a newsletter. And I know what you're thinking, newsletters suck, they don't work. But the truth is, crappy newsletters suck. Crappy newsletters don't work. When you create a community-focused newsletter that has community-focused information, people are more likely to read it, more likely to want to work with you, more likely to see that you are the expert and the ambassador, because they know that the information there is important to them. It's relevant to them. It's what's going on in the community, and it's not just boring real estate stats. It's about the community. So you could be focusing on community events and things to do, similar to what we talked about in the community guide, any neighborhood news, any heartwarming stories of that's happening in your community. You could have contests and giveaways and partner with local businesses to help create some value to them. Any free reports or guides that you may create. You could have a best of series. Maybe you have got a bunch of great restaurants in the area. You want to showcase that. You could be highlighting local businesses, do a spotlight every month and showcase some amazing businesses that are in the community. community. You could have quizzes, games, and challenges that have to do with the community. And the truth is, the agents who are doing community-focused newsletters are still doing incredibly well, and they're learning to tie that in with their other strategies. So if you're just doing a boring pre-printed canned newsletter without anything to do with the community, you are missing out on an opportunity. But you have to think outside the box, and you have to think differently. You can use this newsletter as a way to grow your database. You're not sending out to everyone, you're using it as an exclusive opportunity for people to put their hand up, sign up, so that you can get their name, get their phone number, get their email address, and then further the relationships. So those are different ways that we can shift how we see our farm and how we can put that community first. It's going to take some time. It's going to take some undoing. You're going to have to refocus and rethink about how you see your farm if you've done it in the past. And you have to change the approaches and your mindset. Like I said, the mindset is such a critical part of reshaping how you see your farm and what you do. So as we mentioned earlier, there's a free giveaway to everyone here. If it expires tomorrow. So I have a program. It's a monthly ongoing training program. It's $49 a month. Everyone gets a month for free. I'll show you in a second how to get that. So monthly, we give you a farming theme. There's a live webinar with a Q&A. There's a 5-day challenge each month. There's workshops from industry leaders each month. We have giveaways and resources. There's weekly marketing cheat sheets. There's early access to my show. And then we have a bunch of other things going on an ongoing basis. It's an amazing resource to keep up to date and add value as you grow your farm. You're looking for content and ideas and how to grow your farm. And it's a great program to really keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening with farming and take it to the next level. So I'm going to put the link in here in the chat right now so you guys can access that. And if you use the code rookies at checkout, you get a month for free. So you get to try it out. You can go back, check out all the past training sessions. The library of information is already in there, so you can access that as well. So you can use the discount code rookies at checkout. That does expire tomorrow. So jump on that. It's a month for free. So you can try it. If you don't like it, just cancel it, and you're not going to have to be obligated to anything. You don't have to sign up for a year or anything like that. You get a free month. So it's a great way, again, to enhance your farming and add more value to it. So the link is in the chat there, so you can check that out. If you want any other more resources or information, you can go to launchyourfarm.com. You can check out my show. I have an online show where I interview agents. I'm up to 78. It'll be 79 episodes this week, where I interview agents all over North America on geographic farming, on the strategies they use, all the different things that they are doing to create massive value in their communities. There's a blog in there. You can access my other courses as well. And there's a lot of other great information. So with that, I will open it up to any questions you guys have. Hopefully I've got some you guys really rethinking about how you see farming and how you can make an impact. We'll open up for questions.
That's awesome, Ryan. Thank you very much for the talk. Really appreciate it. Just for your information, I have gone through the Launch Your Farm Bootcamp. Do you still have that going on there?
So the next one launches on the 28th. So that's thefarmbootcamp.com. So you can check that out. It's an awesome program that we go through 8 weeks, 8 live calls each month or each week. And it's meant for agents who are farming and want to take it to the next level, where we dive into strategies with, you get resources, tools, and all kinds of information to really help expand your reach in your farm and add more value.
Yeah. And then there's like activities every week just so that you can figure out what you're supposed to do that week.
Exactly.
And then within, 8 weeks, you're up and running in your farm. So anybody have any questions to Ryan, either about farming or just in general? If anyone has any problems with their real estate transactions or you want to know about?
Hi Ryan. This is Ding, and I do have a questions about farming. So I just started not too long ago, and I'm in a neighborhood that's there are a lot of established agents. And even like in my mailbox, I have like weekly, easily like a dozen postcards from just local agents about their recent sales and etc. So I was just wondering, like, I guess because I'm starting out, I'm probably more likely to do buying agent side rather than selling. I think farming is very beneficial if you're like, this is my neighborhood. I've sold these homes and they're like over asking or like above average. But from a buying agent standpoint, I'm just kind of worried about pigeonholing myself, because most of my buyers are not just looking at my neighborhood, they're looking at whatever neighborhood that they can afford, right? So, so what's your take on, I guess, farming for buying agents, and also like how do you compete with local, or not compete, but like how do you stand out, like among like a very established neighborhood?
Great question. I'll start by asking, on a scale of 1 to 10, how honest would you like me to be with my answer on this?
Super honest.
Perfect. So 10 out of 10. The best way to generate leads as a buyer's agent